We need to elect a chair. Okay.
I'd like to propose Mary Clarkson.
Second. Second, Mary Clarkson.
Right, in which case, do we have apologies for absence? I know that Councillor Cook is busy peddling here, should be here very soon. Do we have any apologies? Sorry, Alice.
Yeah, we have apologies from Councillor Dunn and Councillor Humberston.
Thank you. Item 2, do we have any declarations of interest? No, in which case we'll move on to the onto item 3, which is substantive business of the committee. Which Richard is a boat, right? Okay, thank you. So I'll hand over then to Richard Masters to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. You should have all received the full reports and appendices in advance of this committee, and hopefully you've had a chance to view it and read through it all. Quite a substantial piece of work. The purpose of this report is to agree and to recommend the updated statement of licensing policy and the cumulative impact assessment. The Council has a duty to determine and publish a statement of licensing policy and to keep it under review, republishing it at least every 5 years. The authority carried out a comprehensive and considered review of the statement of licensing policy during 2021, as well as gathering new data and evidence and the necessary input from the relevant authorities to consider a fresh cumulative impact assessment, or CIA, to ascertain if a new special saturation policy was necessary. The draft statement of licensing policy and the CIA were considered and approved for public consultation by the committee chair and vice chair on the 3rd November 2021. The agreed draft statement of licensing policy and CIA was subject to a 6-week public consultation from the 15th of November 2021 until the 27th of December 2021 via the Council's website and social media. This consultation was also sent directly to the responsible authorities, current licence holders and others specified in section 5.3 of the 2003 Licensing Act. In response to the public consultation, the authority received a total of 12 responses during the consultation period. There were 7 from licence holders, 3 from members of the public, 1 from a responsible authority, which was the police, and 1 from a ward councillor. The licensing officers reviewed all the responses to the public consultation and included the relevant content in the revised statement of licensing policy attached to Appendix 1, including a new policy on drink spiking and the Equality Act, as well as several other amendments. To assist the committee, a list of the amendments to the statement of licensing policy is attached to Appendix 2. Following the public consultation, the decision has been made to publish the cumulative impact assessment because the authority is of the opinion that the number of licensed premises and club premises certificates within the city centre and the East Oxford area is such that it is likely that granting a further licence or a variation to an existing licence would be inconsistent with the authority's duty to promote the licensing objectives. This opinion has been reached after careful consideration of evidence and data from Thames Valley Police, responsible authorities and other persons which show high levels of public nuisance, antisocial behaviour and crime disorder within these areas. Therefore, it is appropriate and necessary to control the cumulative impact in these areas with the reintroduction of the special saturation policies, or SSPs. After publishing the CIA, the licensing authority must, within 3 years, consider whether it remains of the opinion set out in the assessment. In order to decide whether it remains of this opinion, it must again consult the persons listed in section 3 of the Act. The cumulative impact assessment is attached to Appendix 3. All the responses to the consultation can be found at Appendix 4. It is recommended that the committee consider this report, the statement of licensing policy and the cumulative impact assessment and agree and recommend them to full council to adopt. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Richard. Has anybody got any questions at the stage? I'm just quickly looking at the responses to see if there are any particular issues that came up during the consultation. Any? Oh, sorry, is that Liz? Yeah. Hi. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks very much. It's a question, Richard, about the mechanisms for controlling cumulative impact. And the final one, which is the power of police, local businesses or residents to seek a review of the licence or certificate. I'm wondering whether this is done at all frequently. I don't know how many reviews you get asked for a year from the public or indeed from the police. Thank you.
We don't get too many reviews at all. With a review, it has to be evidence-based. So there has to be recorded history of complaints or crime disorder, public nuisance, any effects on the licence objectives. And it can be a responsible authority can ask to seek a review, the police normally, or environmental health, or any other person. So a resident can seek a review. The procedure is on our website and the necessary forms to fill out. But we will only consider a review if there is evidence to back up the reasons for that submission. And they said it has to relate to the 4 licensing objectives. But they said the procedures is clearly laid out on the website, and they can contact us. Any person who has any concerns can contact us via email or our telephone contact numbers within the statement of licensing policy, and we can run them through the process involved. But a review is usually the last resort when it comes to a licensed premises. We normally look to engage with the license holder to see if they can solve any issues that have been brought to their attention. The police or ourselves can ask for a minor variation to add additional conditions if necessary. If it's a public nuisance or crime disorder, we can ask for CCTV or additional conditions to be added. And like I said, normally a review is once we've exhausted all those other avenues, that's when a review would be sought of a license. So it would be has to be evidence-based.
And can I just ask, would that come before a committee?
Yeah, a review would come to a committee. It's just like a new premises license application variation. The review application would come to ourselves. There'll be a 28-day consultation period. There'll be a poster on display at the premises to make people aware of the review, and it will go to a committee as normal. There'll be a normal report done, and it will go to a committee to determine, and they'll have various options available to them to revoke the license, to add conditions, etc. But again, it would be normally a last resort. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, a very minor kind of nitpicky point. On page 42 of the Statement of Licensing Policy, well, it's the 25 of the Statement of Licensing Policy, 42 of the Agenda Pack, safe drinking vessels, 7.5.24. It's talking about requiring drinks where there might be concerns about crime or disorder to be supplied in alternative forms to traditional glasses or bottles. So, for example, polycarbonate, paper or plastic. I was wondering whether there were wording could be clearer to encourage non-plastic forms of alternative. So my concern is moving away from glass to a less sustainable kind of bottle. Could there be an improvement there?
I suppose we could reword that to say non-glassware, or to not specify plastics, perhaps. I don't know what's available on the market when it comes to safe drinking vessels. And so, you know, you've got the polycarbonate size, but you've got obviously paper and other materials. But we could take out the plastic wording and just use like non-glassware possibly.
Or perhaps, if I may, Chair, using using environmentally sustainable vessels where possible, or something like that, just to encourage people to be thinking about that when they make those choices.
Yeah, we can try that.
Thank you very much for your work on this and integrating the comments. On the point about this on 7.9.8, which is around the provisions for disabled persons, I was just wondering on this whether or not the wording could be strengthened, because I think it says at the moment should consider providing, as opposed to requiring, and I just wondered whether it's possible for that to be strengthened.
In the Licensing Act, there is a definition of what plan needs to be submitted for the layout of the premises. And there are certain things that have to be shown on the plan. So there's things like firefighting equipment, location of toilets, things like that. There's nothing in the legislation to state that has to show certain facilities in regards to disabled access. It does say for any sort of exits and any height levels and things like that, any change of height. But the legislation is quite specific in the guidance on what should be shown in a licence plan. So we can't really be too specific with our requests. That's why we put the things like should consider rather than must, because it contravenes what's already in the Act. We can try and word it a bit more robustly, so they would, look to include those sort of things.
So that's the first point. May I, Chair? The second point. Okay. So we had some feedback regarding the Ask for Angela campaign, and I understand with the Safer Streets Fund, the police is working very specifically around sexual harassment in terms of the nighttime economy, and particularly working with licensed establishments. So I'm wondering whether this is the reference, I think it's in 8.10.3 next to the Equality Act, but whether actually, since this is related to harassment and violence, in this case against women and girls, but actually violence more generally or sexual harassment against anybody, it's better referenced under the drink spiking section, and maybe that sort of strengthens the focus on that. And whether we wanted to add a clause which specifically referred to undertaking initiatives such as training with licensed premises. I understand that this is a mechanism which is being widely rolled out both in London, but also we're starting to do that here in Oxford. Yeah.
In regards to drink spiking and things like that, there is one of our senior licensed officers is a member of the Oxford Sexual Violence Panel, which is a multi-agency group involving Thames Valley Police, the NHS, Oxford University and Oxford Brookes. And this panel looks at statistics around drink spiking and resolutions that have been made to assist lowering the numbers of drink spiking allegations. But we can look to move that Ask Angela section to the proper section. I think we can do that. That's not a problem at all. Yeah,
because they are connected, but they're also separate issues, but similar. Related.
No, we can do that.
Thank you very much.
Chris.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got actually a very similar question to one of the ones that Catherine asked, which may well elicit a very similar response. So I'm just looking at 7.3.13, which is on page 20 of the document, or 37 of the agenda pack. And again, it's the use of this word consider, and specifically in relation to the provision of gender neutral facilities. And again, just wondering if that could be tightened up and strengthened, or whether, it's a similar situation.
Again, it's a similar situation. The guidance and the license acts will specify certain things have to be shown on the plan, but it doesn't specifically say those things. So that's why with a lot of the wording here, we can't force applicants to put these measures in place. We will ask them to consider it, and try to think of a better word than consider that's a bit more, but without saying they must. So it's just think of the wording around it really. Do you have any? Encourage? Yeah, encourage. So just repeat which section, the policy that was, please. So. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Okay, this goes to council, doesn't it, for approval? So can we have a vote, please, on those who support it and are happy for it to go forward to council for adoption? Okay, those in favour? And those against? No, in which case that's passed. Thank you, Richard. And I think we're now in the minutes now. Do you want to do those, Colin? No, you don't. Okay.
My apologies.
Let me find the minutes. Let me just bear with me. I'll just find the minutes. Okay. Right. The agenda item 4, the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of February. Page 121. Page 122. In which case those can be approved, and I think that's it, isn't it? Oh, and just for noting the dates of next meeting, all of which are in the next municipal year. So thank you, everybody, and I may see some of you in quarter of an hour. The next licensing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we should bring it forward. You were very quick off the mark.
Yeah, that was good. Grandma skills.